Hi everyone, my name is Alicia Hansen. I'm the Director of Marketing for Lanique Specialty Linen Rental. We are a linen-based company out of Valley View, Ohio, which is a suburb of Cleveland. We were founded 21 years ago by two women, Angela Klodnick and Deidre Dockman. And they were sort of long-lost sisters, always knew that from the day they met that they wanted to work together long-term. And so fast forward a handful of years, and they opened a linen rental company in Angela's garage. So we started with one employee, excuse me, one ironer, and one van. And since then, we've grown our company in 21 years later into a 16,000 foot facility, 50 employees all year round. We've been recognized as a top workplace by the Plain Dealer now for the last 4 years. It's been a vital part of the event community in Cleveland. And I've joined the team about 4.5 years ago. And in those 4 years, we've developed past just linen rentals. So we also offer things like laundry, custom purchase, and various labor services, including setup, delivery, and shipping. So we work with a lot of clients, not only in the Northeast Ohio area, but also outside of it, whether it be for destination weddings, special events of all different types. So the opportunity when Cleveland gets the chance, even a chance to get something, everyone knows about it. And so everyone knew that RNC was on the table. And so once RNC was announced, it was game on, even though we had plenty of time to prep for it, so we thought. So we were lucky that we have a lot of great resources in Cleveland. One that we are a member of is Destination Cleveland. That's the Cleveland Northeast Ohio Visitors Bureau. So they really work with a lot of hospitality groups, a lot of hospitality companies in helping to keep them prepared for the really large scale events like the Republican National Convention in 2016. So, they were doing their best to give us as much prep information. So we just decided to stay in touch with those types of organizations from day one. It also became very evident for us that the best thing we could do for our company was to keep in touch with our existing relationships with our existing clients. So our sales team started connecting with their contacts at venues, at hotels, anybody who had any type of event space, restaurants, your mom's barn in the backyard. I mean, everybody was really looking at fill space. And so we just started having conversations. And we came to find that many people were either blocking off hotel rooms, blocking off event spaces for the entire month of July, because we really didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. So as they held their spaces, we continued just to have those conversations and say, keep us in mind, let us know if you book an event. Don't forget to place your linen order now. Get it in the books, get it in our system, and that way we have the inventory ready for you, locked and loaded for your event. Even if you're not 100% sure on the details, we'd rather have something than absolutely zero. And we just worked from there with each individual venue and contact planner and so on. Internally, what we did is we took a look at our linen inventory for rental. Every spring, we tend to add anywhere from 6 to 12 new linen patterns, usually around tablecloths. And so knowing that we would be throwing a lot of events in the Northeast Ohio area, utilizing the colors of red, white, and blue, we really looked at options that had those colors in them that would be maybe lean a little more patriotic, but also, again, knew that we could use past July 2016. So we introduced some really super classic, beautiful patterned linens and crimsons and navies and creams, things that we knew would also complement the event spaces that we worked with the most. But again, things that we knew that, 2 months after the RNC, I could start selling as a wedding linen, as a linen for a fundraiser, for a gala. It was, yes, we had a big thing to look at in middle of the year, but again, there was life afterwards, as the previous presenter mentioned. So we continued to have those conversations. We were lucky to get in touch with planners like Mazda from previous DNCs and RNCs, and they gave us as much tips as possible. So one thing that I wish we did a little bit more of was that type of work. We never put 2 and 2 together that 50 some state delegations would be coming to Northeast Ohio and that they would be planning their own individual events. And I'm not telling you to cold call all of them by any means, but just sort of brainstorm, like, who is coming to town? Is it's not just the host committee. It's not just the celebrities around that party or their supporters. It's so much broader than that. There's press groups, there's advocacy groups, there's protesters, there's so many people coming. So start to brainstorm a little bit outside of what you have just in your blinders, if you will. So another point she brought up was that everything tended to happen very last minute. So, you know, fast forward to June 2016 at the beginning of the month, we're looking at July 2016 and we're like, where are all these orders? Everyone's saying this big party's coming to town, but we're not seeing it in our books yet. And so we started to have those conversations again with our existing relationships. And that's when we came to, you know, also around the way the 2016 nominee was chosen for the Republican Party. Things were a little volatile, if you may remember. People weren't sure if they were even coming to Cleveland because of the way the nominee was shaking out. So there were so many question marks. So all we did, we continued to just prep our inventory as much as we possibly could. So we were cleaning stuff like it was spring cleaning all year round. Our goal was to have as much inventory clean, bagged, on our shelves, ready to go out the door. So in case somebody said, hey, the New Jersey delegation just called me. They want to have a luncheon for 100 people. Can you get me 10 tablecloths and 100 napkins? It would be like, yep, done. What time, when you need them, where and why, right? So we just did our due diligence. We were as proactive as possible, but also flexible in the long run. So by the time 4th of July rolled around, we started to realize what was really about to happen. Some of the venues that we expected to be booked in full were. Some of the venues weren't. So just because you may have a beautiful event space doesn't mean somebody's going to naturally just pick up the phone and be like, hey, I want to throw a party at your spot. You have to do the due diligence. You have to do the work to let people know that you're out there. And it's by the networking in advance. It's finding those contacts in advance. When RNC hit, you know, we were all hands on deck. We were asked by our owners to try to avoid taking vacation during that time. Because honestly, Cleveland had never hosted anything like this. We didn't know what we were getting into. And it ended up being the most quietest week of my life. It really was very, very kind of wild in terms of, you know, our warehouse was busy, don't get me wrong, but I'll never forget walking through that Tuesday or Wednesday, and the amount of red, white, and blue linen that lined our docks was just amazing to see, because you knew it was going to support all of these events. But there weren't quite as many, at least for our very specialized niche of the industry. We didn't have that many like sort of hands-on, labor-intensive things that maybe some of the other companies may have had. I was expecting to have to like dive in for an event cleanup on like Thursday at 1 in the morning, but those things never happened. You know, so we just prepped our delivery team, who really had the most work, obviously, to do to the best of our ability. We had to get credentials to security people, you know, and that changed how we delivered even to our regular venues because of the security zone. So keep that in mind, especially if you're in the security zone, you're gonna have to plan for extra time to get in and out, where to park, all that kind of stuff. Try to get that information in advance so you're not stuck day of being like, I can't get to my business. So there's so many things that happened during that week-long period. But what I will say that I think was a bigger sort of event industry lesson from RNC is to not put all your eggs in one basket. So while everyone was holding their venue or holding their product for the entire month of July, because we didn't know when people were coming in, when they were leaving, how long they were staying, all of these other types of events, weddings, galas, anniversary, all these other events were moving outside of July. So if anything, RNC has had a really interesting impact on our wedding industry locally. So now we actually have 2 smaller wedding seasons. We have a lot of weddings in May and June, and a lot of weddings in September and October. That shift was starting to naturally happen, I think, before RNC 2016 here in Cleveland, but it was apparent. There was not a single wedding happening in July 2016 unless it was in your like uncle's barn a couple counties over. So it really was apparent that some of these venues ended up losing out on a ton of income that they could have had by hosting those usual events that always brought them money year in, year out, because they went all in on something that happened one time. You know, I think for us after RNC, you know, there's no question it was a huge, huge part of our business that year. If you look between, at the difference between July 2015 and July 2016, we had a 43% increase in our income between those 2 months alone. So that will just show you an event like this, a large scale event that completely takes over a city, can 100% change your business, but not necessarily for the uber long term. For example, we had to get all that linen cleaned because it had to get down to Canton, Ohio 2 weeks later for the Pro Football Hall of Fame Enshrinement Festival. You know, we've got different types of events of all different sorts of scale that we're constantly sending linen back in and out for. So one event, and it's wonderful, it's awesome. We were so lucky to be a part of it, but we had to keep moving forward. We had to keep looking forward. And it really did make us realize how to improve our business, how to add in inventory that would last us for more than one just type of event, how to work smarter and not harder. But ultimately, it was something that we would 100% be a part of, just because it's a part of what, you know, naturally happens in the event industry. And for us, that just meant supporting our friends, our clients, our frienders, if you will, as much as we possibly could in this process. So, thank you.